morning, and already today has been filled with the most amazing signs and promptings, which is what I wanted to talk to you about. My guide actually communicates with me in the most dramatic way by forcing me to pay attention, because that's the way that my guide gets me out of my head, and where I recognize that every day is a potential for something entirely new to happen. And so the way that I've been led is through signs. And so the way that that happens is anything that I sense out of the ordinary, or I see that's out of the ordinary, that pulls on me, that draws me to it, or an idea where I feel like that, for whatever reason, that is what I'm supposed to lead with. Those are the things that I follow. And I have come to know, it's a big word, big 4-letter word, but it's true. I have come to know that these are real and they add up to something. Something that quickly I will recognize as like a big, oh my God. And so that actually happened this morning, and it's part of something that's been overlapping lately. So I was instructed when I went on my walk this morning to go the opposite way, and which there was a part of me that was like sort of kicking and screaming, because there's when I leave, the way that I go up my street, it's sort of like this enchanting, beginning of my journey, and I can feel myself just sort of like waking up, slowly starting to wake up with, the energy and the beauty that is very familiar. And so I knew that by the prompting for me to go the opposite way was taking me out of my comfort zone, because it's not as much of a warm hug, and it's a little bit harsher, and I knew that I was going to be encountering steepness and physical and all this, and so anyways it was like, okay, but I have to do it. So I started doing it, and pretty soon on the way I met somebody that I've never known before, and it was an old man named Bernard, and it was just a cute, fun little Topanga personality. We were talking about silly things, but it was also like silly, supernatural, mystical, sort of imaginary sort of things. And so that was a fun way to sort of like warm up my walk. And he was, at first he was saying that I didn't have a dog with me, and I didn't know if he was mistaking me for somebody else. And then when he came to explain, he said most women that walk on the street have a dog. And so I said to him, well, I don't have an actual dog, but I'm sure I have a dog in spirit and a cat in spirit. And I said, so they may be around me. And so he pretty much ran with that and everything. And we were talking a little bit later, and he was saying that, one of them was in front of me. And I said, oh, which one is in front of me? Because I couldn't see them. And he said, well, actually, it's both of them. He said they've actually merged into one animal. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. And then a couple minutes later, he said they switched. So at one point, the dog was in front and the cat was in back, and then the cat was in front and the dog was in the hindquarters. And so anyways, it was just sort of like a fun way for my mind to warm up to the fact that, there's so many different things that we can see and we can't see, and all different kinds of interesting people that we meet that help us be more elastic in what we believe is real and what is imaginary. So, anyways, I'm walking up, I'm walking up this street, and I'm prompted to go up a side street that I maybe have gone up once in my whole life, and it's super steep. And I didn't know why I was prompted to go up this. I'm thinking, oh my God, now all of a sudden I'm gonna get like the physical exertion is gonna be kicked in, but I just do like what I'm supposed to do. And after I was going up the street for maybe about 5-7 minutes or whatever, I see someone. Okay, so this someone was 2 days ago when I was out on my walk. It was somebody that, and normally here in Topanga, it's nice if people wave, which pretty much everybody does, and they smile, and so it's just a real beautiful sense of community and connectedness, and you don't have to like break your focus to be able to to connect with people. And so when actually people stop and they talk to you, especially if they're in a vehicle, then it's just like, wow, that's really a compliment, because everybody here is, doing and going and being and, on their own journey. And so 2 days ago, this gentleman in a white pickup truck stopped, and I don't think he stopped the first time. I think he just sort of called out because I was like noticing something, some flower, bush or tree or something, and he called out, slow down or something. And so it made me laugh, just because it was obviously not true, and it was still nice that he made it a part to connect. Anyway, so that tickled me, in the sense that somebody was trying to be funny, and lighten my walk, which in and of itself is a gift. And so as I continued on my walk, it took me to a more busy thoroughfare, and I saw him again, and he stopped this time, and it's a busy street, and there's S turns and whatnot, and he was just right beyond an S turn. And so the fact that him and I were having a conversation, right in a sort of dangerous area, I remarked how brave he was. But we were talking about some interesting things. I was telling him about what I had just recently learned, that when I'm prompted to go closer to nature, whether it's a flower or a tree or an insect or a bush or anything, to notice it closer or to actually touch it, that could be that something noticing me and wanting me to come closer so that it can see me or touch me through my touching it. And so I actually sort of jumped right in with this, new learning that I had. And all of a sudden, I guess he realized, whoa, this is, game's on. And he was okay with it. And so he left. And then later, which was not that much longer, maybe about 10, 15 minutes later, I saw him again at the bottom of that street. I was just getting ready. I was actually supposed to turn down this other street, and then I wasn't able to turn down it, so I kept going, and then lo and behold, boom, there he is again. And so there were people behind him, and so we, pretty much waved and laughed about, something, and then I continued on my way. But it quickly became apparent to me was, oh my gosh, I just saw him. This was a new person that I've never known before, never met, 3 times. And I have this theory that when you encounter something once that's, pleasant or unpleasant, whatever it is, it's that if you notice it, it's like, okay, that's a one something, it's something unusual or um, um, unusual about your day. So that's enough to take notice. But when you have that same person that shows up in your world a second time, okay, now that's a coincidence. Oh my gosh, wow. So coincidence, as people in the science and mathematical world, they know that a coincidence actually coincides. So there's nothing random about a coincidence. So there's something purposeful about that. But when you have it happen to you a third time, that's a pattern. And so I recognized this after, I had left, went on my own way. I was like, oh my God, that's significant. That person, there's something about that person that is significant. I didn't know what, and I didn't know when I would, see him again or anything like that. Or, you think if, but really when you have a pattern like that, something's going to happen. Anyways, so this morning, as I'm walking up this steep, road that I have only walked up once in the whole time I've been here for 4 years, boom, there he is. So he's sitting in his truck and he calls out. This is a side street, so there's, like nobody around. Calls out to me, and I was just like, oh my God. And so I was ready. And I said to him, this is for. This is for. You know what for is. And 2 days ago, when him and I were talking, I didn't really get a sense that he really was very expansive. He just seemed to entertain the idea that I was. So when I said for, you know what that is, he said to me, that's 4 is an angelic number. 4 is the number of angels. And I said, yes, it is. How did you know that? Because my daughter, that is her number. She was born on April 4th. And so I know very well the number 4 and how it's a very powerful angelic number because of her. And so the fact that he reminded me of the angelic number was like holy cow, supernatural. And so I'm already like getting blown just by the idea of that. And so he was telling me that as we were talking more quickly, everything just started unfolding just quickly. And when I was like saying, how do you know this stuff? And he was talking about other stuff, and he was telling about that his wife is a hypnotherapist. And then I said, I was just amazed to be having such a spiritual kind of conversation with somebody. It already felt like we were like jumping up on a higher level. And so I couldn't help but mention to him, I said, wow, this is so wild. Because I don't talk to anybody here. I'm really like a loner. I don't really have like friends that I talk to on a daily basis or see on a regular basis. My life is solely my pursuit of my purpose, which is interdimensional travel and awareness and growing and everything that pertains to that. Anyways, and so I said to him, this is so wild for me, because there's also a woman that just all of a sudden now she's in my life, and she is a high dimensional being. And he said to me, you know why that is? As though he knows me. And I said, why? And he said, because you've grown in vibration, and now you've grown to a level where now she is a part of your world. And I said, oh my God, that's entirely accurate. That is so true. Because as I've mentioned or alluded to, the day my dad died, that something happened to me that shifted me in a quantum level. It's not something I can talk about, but as you can tell, my voice just sort of like dropped down to a very serious nature, and it's all good, and I'm very grateful for it. And I knew that my world was going to shift because of it, or it seemed like it certainly should shift because of it, but of course I didn't know how. And so the fact that it's like this person who is actually Archangel Michael, who I have my own dealings with Michael. Archangel Michael is his guide. Archangel Michael is his guide. And Archangel Michael is the one that wanted to help me fill in the missing pieces on why all of a sudden my life seems to be so exciting. And there's a part of me that on some level feels almost unworthy to really be connected to this woman, Andrea Garris. But what I realized as I just got back was that this sort of is my MO. You know, some people think that you can't love another until you love yourself. And for me, that's not true, because what I recognize is when I see the beauty and the wisdom and the strength and the power of another, and then they see that in me, even though initially there's a part of me that feels unworthy, I do take a second look, and sometimes it takes me a while to believe what it is I'm hearing, or the fact that they would have any interest really in me at all. But that seems to be how I become more comfortable in myself, is by recognizing evolved people that see the evolved person in me. And I've actually, that's typically been what I've done with the serious relationships in my life, the romantic relationships and the friendship relationships, where they are so amazing and awesome, and it's like, oh my God, why are they choosing me? And then at some point I become comfortable in it, always grateful, and these beings, and what they share with me, and that they're walking, or they walked with me for a period of time. They'll always be in my heart. Anyways, so that is just something I wanted to share with you and leave with you, and like, whoa, something like I know things, like, but then sometimes when I go through these shifts, and then everything seems to be mixed up, and I forget, and then it's almost like the universe and my guides and the angels, it's all God, but somehow it's easier to think of God in like smaller characters, like Andrea, or this new friend that I have, or Archangel Michael, or my guide. And so pay attention, because I know it's not just me. This is happening to everybody. It's just pay attention, and amazing things lie in store. Little do you know, that's what it's all about. Yay! Have a wonderful day. I know I will. Okay, see you later.